Well, welcome everybody, and thank you for joining us tonight as we explore 3 fantastic destinations as a part of Alumni Night presented by Collette. What travel locations would you like to see offered as future trips? Let us know in the chat. We'll also have a poll at the end of tonight's presentation to tell us where you would like to see us go in the future. I'm Greg Berry, Assistant Director in the UAB Office of Alumni Affairs. Since we're coming to you virtually, please excuse anything that may seem out of place. If you experience any video or audio issues, you can click the reconnect button at the top of your screen. This will get you back to the webinar right away. Tonight, Jack Brinson will give us an in-depth information about 3 alumni adventures we have scheduled with Collette. Jack is a Senior Business Development Manager with Collette, serving a region that includes Alabama, Northwest Florida, Georgia, as well as Southern Mississippi. He has been part of the Collette family for 13 years, and in his role, he travels a lot, which is not surprising. He has been to 6 of the 7 continents, with only Antarctica as one that he still has to visit, and I'm sure he would love to. And he's also been to more than 50 different countries. His company, Collette, is family-owned and debt-free. In 2018, they celebrated 100 years in business. Collette offers tours to all 7 continents, specializing in guided travel for adults with an emphasis on professionally planned 4-star or better accommodations that are centrally located with most meals included. Trips blend together sightseeing and free time. Tonight, Jack will highlight the 3 trips we have scheduled for late 2021 and early 2022. If you have any questions, please toss them in the chat box and I will make sure that they get answered. At this time, I would like to turn things over to Jack. It's great to have you.
Thank you very much, Greg, for having me this evening. And I'll go ahead and get moving with the presentation. As Greg said, we are Collette, and we've been around for more than 100 years this year. A debt-free family-owned company in our 3rd generation, and we give away the trips on Wheel of Fortune. So you've probably seen our logo there a few times. Pat and Vanna go on one of our tours every year, and we've had a relationship with them now for 25 years. And so that's a little bit about who we are. This is what we do. 4-star or better guided travel all around the world. We have a team that sets up the tours from start to finish. They actually go in-site, in-country. They inspect the hotels that we're using. They make sure they're centrally located and strategically located for the area that we're going to be visiting. Your guide is going to meet you in the destination. They're going to load your bags onto the motor coach, take you to the hotel, go and get your hotel keys, bring them out to you, take your bags to your room. You don't stand in any lines. You don't think when you go on these trips. So regardless if you're going on a 5-day getaway or a 27-day Australia, New Zealand, Tasmania trip, you'll get the same type of experience. You'll also be issued box headsets, whether you're traveling domestically or internationally. Basically, you'll be issued them the first day of the trip. So that way you can hear your guide and you're not trying to fight to hear them. You can stand anywhere around them and catch every word of what they're saying. And that's just an added service that we're doing. We used to do it mainly in Europe, but because of everything going on in the social climate of the world today, we are adapting as a company. So we now offer them domestically as well. And the first tour we're going to talk about today is sunny Portugal. I'm going to highlight these tours and go over the popularity of them, etc. And then any questions you may have, we'll address at the very end. But Portugal is a 10-day, 12-meal program. There is an extension at the very end to Madeira Island. There are 9 islands that make up the arpeggio of the Azores, and we focus on this particular island there. And there's a lot of stuff to do there, but we'll highlight that at the very end. But this is your overall routing of the tour. And before we get into the itinerary, I will tell you, of all the places that we go in the world, you would think that Italy would have the #1 food, but actually the food scores in Portugal outrank Italy and France and other destinations of the world as the #1 food destination that we travel to. So some of the best beef skewers, the best beef that you'll have aside from any of the fish and other things, but the beef is just unbelievable in this part of the world. So Cascais, we're going to start in this particular area. We're going to have a nice welcome reception. We always like to take you out to a local dinner, immerse you into the culture. We never like to do a welcome dinner in the hotel. We want to make sure we're out and about as often as we can. And then you'll have your choice of wine and local other amenities if you'd like with your meal. That is all part of your welcome dinner. But you'll meet your guide that day, and then they'll give you an itinerary. Each day, at the end of the day, you're going to get an itinerary as to what you're going to be doing the next day so that you'll be prepared as you travel throughout the trip. So from there, we're going to travel and visit the Bulim Tower. You'll learn all about that. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, as well as Geronimo's Monastery, also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And you'd be amazed at the paintings and the murals that are in this, the artwork that's all throughout. And you'll have a nice locally guided walking tour from a historian that will guide you through. And you'll spend ample amount of time. So the way that we tour on these trips, you'll either tour in the morning and have the afternoon off, or you'll tour in the afternoon and have the morning off. You will have some free time in Cascais to basically just explore a little bit on your own. Your guide will give you some things that locals like to do, and then of course what the tourists like to do. There is a Lisbon by night option. Now, options never take the place of anything on the tour. They're always done during free time. So I like to call them just trip enhancers. Some people like to have more structure to their free time than others. Some folks like to have a nice quiet dinner off by themselves. That's perfectly fine if that's what you'd like to do. But if you'd like to have a little bit more entertainment, be immersed in the culture with a photo performance, you'll learn all about the history of that, as well as a very nice dinner out at a local gathering, and very neat performance though. But like I said, it's an option. It's you just decide either before you go on the trip or when you get on the trip if you'd like to do it or not. And like I said, it's just a trip enhancer. And then Óbidos, we're going to travel here next. See the beautiful walled city, and you'll learn all about the walled city all on the coast. You're going to see quite a few of them, fortified type cities. And there's a couple of things that you can do on this trip. You'll have some free time, or you'll take a tour of the National Palace in Sintra. So we do a lot of choice on tours. They were basically included options. So you just basically pick whichever one you'd like to do. And because of free time, that's why that is set up the way it is. We are going to take you out and show you cork bark. We're going to show you basically the history of the cork bark, how long it's been used, and what all it's used for. We know one thing that it's used for. And a lot of the bottles of wine that you're going to experience on this trip are actually not going to have cork bark in them. One of the reasons they give you the bottle of wine and they give the cork to the gentleman at a nice restaurant to smell the cork to make sure it's not corked. And that means basically that a fungus or something got into the cork bark there. And so a lot of them we're going through synthetic corks, and then now they're doing screw caps. So I mean, the world is evolving as everything else is, but a lot of the boutique places, they still feature the wine with the cork bark on them. But you'll learn all about cork bark and everything that it's used. So from there, we'll travel to Evora, a beautiful Gothic town, as you can see here, and it's a very walkable town. And we are going to take you out and show you the Roman temple here. There's a lot of Roman ruins all throughout the country, and you don't really think Roman ruins when you think Portugal, but there are quite a few in this particular area, and you're going to make a stop at several of them. And we are going to stop at a local winery. There's actually a couple of wineries we're going to stop at on this trip. You'll learn about the fermentation process when they harvest the grapes, how many years of use they get out of the barrels, the temperatures they store them at, what all parts of the world they ship the wine to, etc. You'll learn all about that. And then, of course, the best part is the tasting and the pairing. So you'll get a chance to do that. And then from there, we're going to have the afternoon where you can basically just kind of take the afternoon and just relax before we head into Lagos, and we'll take you to the university university here. It's a navigation university, so you'll get a chance to go in and see that as well. And from there, you'll have some free time in Lagos that evening to basically explore. There's a lot of restaurants right along that little strip there. And then we'll take you into Algarve, right on the Silver Coast, and you'll get a chance to take this beautiful picture right here. A lot of folks like to take this picture, and a lot of folks like to take a dip into the water there, but we don't have a ton of time to do that on this trip. But you certainly have some time if you want to plan accordingly for that. It doesn't matter what time of year. The water's just too pretty not to at least soak a toe in. But there is an option that basically does a coastal cruise and lunch. That's, again, during free time. So what they do is they take the rest of the people back into town. If you'd like to do the cruise, you can actually do the cruise along the coast, and that's all weather permitting. And we'll also take you and show you the fruit plantation as well. So a lot of citrus in this particular area, oranges and lemons and other things like that. So you get a chance to see the fruit plantations. And from there, we'll head into Faro, and you'll get a chance to see. And I got one slide ahead here, but on the top of each one of the doors there, you can barely see it. The people that live in these houses, they have their family name at the top and maybe a family crest. So your guide will kind of take you through a walking tour of this particular area, and then you'll kind of see the family crest. You'll see the houses and the family names, etc. So it's pretty neat to be able to do that and look around. And then again, we're going to take you to another wine tasting and pairing, and head back into Lagos, and then we are going to head out and show you the fortress along the coastline. And it's very windy along this coastline, so you're got to kind of prepare you as far as that goes. And you'll have some time to basically just go and explore around. There is somebody that's going to kind of tell you the history of the coast, who all came in. They'll tell you about the time the Vikings came through, and they were more interested in pillaging and plundering Ireland and that whole area. So they basically just stopped through here on their way north. And this is some of that beef I was kind of telling you about. The beef is just absolutely amazing on this trip. And you'll have a very nice dinner that evening, and then you'll depart out. Those that are wishing to stay, we will take you into Madeira Island. It's a 5-day extension, and it's about a 2.5-hour plane ride from Lisbon. And you're in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. And the closest islands to this island chain is Bermuda. And there's a lot of stuff to do here. I mean, they have pineapple plantations. They're known for their liqueur. They're also known for their tea. And you'll get a chance to go out and see the botanical gardens. You're going to do all the stuff that you need to see, but there are other things like whale watching, deep sea fishing. There's other things that you can do that's pretty neat. I paid to go on a whale watching trip. I didn't see any whales. I paid to go on a tuna trip, and I didn't catch one tuna, but I saw 30 whales and a mako. So, it's just one of those things. Whatever I pay to go do, I never end up getting to do it. But we'll also get a chance to have some free time and immerse into the culture there. And that's just an excellent tour from start to finish. The next one we're going to talk about is Tropical Costa Rica. It's a 9-day, 14-meal program. Costa Rica has already opened its borders, so it's already accepting passengers at the moment. And the great thing about this tour, it's about a 3.5-hour plane ride from Atlanta. So that's a great thing. There's no overnight flight, etc. But another thing, if you'll notice here, you're multiple nights everywhere you travel on this trip. And there is an extension to Tortuguero National Park at the very end, so you get a chance to see the sea turtles, and you'll be in an eco lodge there. But you're going to be in and out of San Jose, and if you'll look on the Guanacaste area on the far left of the coast of Costa Rica, that upper Nicoya Peninsula is a blue zone. So there's only a few of those in the world. I don't know how much research you've done on blue zones. You've probably heard of them, but that's basically where people go and they live, over 100, etc. Very healthy, and there's only a few of them in the world, but that area is a blue zone. So a couple of things we're going to do on this trip. We're going to stop at a coffee estate. We're going to the coffee plantation that we're going to take you to, the Doka Coffee Estate. They have an interesting way of letting you taste the coffee, so you get a chance to sample and swish around a lot of the different flavors of coffee, and you'll learn about how altitude affects the bean, the quality of the bean. And coffee is very strong here, so you want to limit your cups of coffee for breakfast, because you'll be wired all day long. And you get a chance to see the coffee beans. You'll see the whole process. They'll have it all laid out for you, how they do it from start to finish. And then, of course, if you'd like to buy some, you certainly can, and send it back. From there, we're going to travel into Guanacaste. You're going to be staying right on the beach in Guanacaste, beautiful resort there. And so when you do have free time, you can walk along the beach. They have a nice swimming pool area there, but it's absolutely beautiful. People don't like to leave this area of the trip. But Guanacaste, we are staying in a very nice resort. And we are staying there for 2 days, and then we're going to leave out and travel to the Monteverde Cloud Forest. And you'll have a naturalist with you that particular day. You'll do a nature walk. It's not a very strenuous walk. This tour in general, on a scale of 1 to 5, is a 2. And so 5 being most strenuous, 1 being least strenuous. And this is based on our age demographic of traveler, which we generally cater to the 55 plus as far as that goes. So we'll actually take you into a bird sanctuary. You'll learn all about the birds in that particular region. You'll also come in contact with hummingbirds. They have 100 different species of hummingbirds that you'll get a chance to come in contact with, as well as there is a butterfly sanctuary, so you'll get a chance to do that as well. Now, another thing that we're doing on this trip is allowing you to have a choice on tour. So there's a Zipline Canopy tour. You basically choose that, or you can do the butterfly and hanging bridges tour. So one's for one type of adventurist and the other one is for the other. And so you can see the butterfly and hanging bridges. You basically walk into this butterfly sanctuary. It's netted all around, and your guide basically explains all the different butterflies and how old they live, all that good stuff. And the hanging bridges, walking the treetops, that's the first option. But that's again, it's included. You just pick one or the other. And then, of course, you know what the Zipline Canopy tour is. You're going to be ziplining for a long ways over some streams, etc. A lot of folks like to bring out the GoPros for this because you get basically travel the road less traveled for a little while. And there's it stops in different spots, so you're not just ziplining the whole way down. And another thing that we're going to be doing on this trip is we have a Collette Cares program that we do, and we like to plant trees and this, that, and the other. So we'll take you to a site that we make donations to and donate trees to in efforts to preserve the areas down there as far as the rainforest goes. So you'll learn about that as well. We are going to take you on a Cano Negro cruise, and you're going to go right down the river, and you're going to see howler monkeys. You may see some sloths. You'll see other things as well. You'll see piranhas and other things. I mean, they literally have everything come in contact with you while you're on that cruise. So the Cano Negro cruise, the monkeys will come down and they'll land on the boat. They'll come sit in your lap, jump back up on the tree, and leave. I mean, this is not like going into like a zoo where everybody's caged and everything is happening real life around you. And you'll learn about the different sloth species they have. They have 4 different ones that that they'll explain to you while you're on the trip. And then that's the white-faced monkey there. And then we're going to travel into where you're going to be staying in Lake Arenal. I don't know why they didn't have, there was not more pictures of that, but Lake Arenal, they have an active volcano there, and you'll get a chance to see beautiful Lake Arenal and see that volcano. It's a magma flowing volcano. It's not a erupting volcano like they have in Hawaii. So it's the better of the two. And then from there, we're going to take you into a Zootopia garden area, basically a beautiful maze there. And you'll learn all about the French and the Spanish, how they both come together, the influences. And then we'll bring you back into San Jose. And this is their theater, their national theater here. But we are going to take a tour of San Jose, and then you'll have a farewell dinner and depart out. At the end of the tour, there is a jungle adventure. It's 4 days, and you're staying in an eco lodge. You're going to go see the sea turtles. You're going to come in contact with a couple of different species of animals. This is a smaller group of people that'll end up staying and doing this. It's a little bit more active. Like I say, you're staying in an eco lodge, and then of course you'll depart out after that. Springtime Tulip River Cruise. This is a very popular tour. It's one of our top 10 sellers every year. One of the big reasons for that is there's no land component of this trip. You don't have to pack and unpack. It's round trip Amsterdam, and and folks like that because they don't have to worry about packing and unpacking. If there's something you'd like to do or something you wouldn't like to do, you can just stay on the boat, or you can go and explore, and just make sure you're back at the boat by the time the boat leaves. That's the most important thing. But you'll arrive into Amsterdam. They won't let you board the ship and check in until around 3 o'clock. You'll arrive late morning to early afternoon, so you'll have a few hours to explore in Amsterdam at the beginning of the trip. And some folks like to go to the Van Gogh Museum or the Diamond District, etc. You have time to do that kind of thing. And then you don't keep up with your luggage. We'll keep up with your luggage, and then of course you'll check into the ship, and then you'll check into your room, etc. We have 4 different categories on this trip. So we have a lower, middle, upper, and suite configuration. Lower obviously doesn't have an open window, but it does have a window. No, the window is not below the water line, but it is above the water line, and it's in the top third part of the room. And the middles and the uppers basically have the same type of room. They have the sliding doors, basically French balconies, and the suites actually have a balcony where you can go outside. The balcony doesn't protrude beyond the ship. It actually cuts into the room, and then you can just sit outside. There's a table, etc., out there for that. The middle level is the most popular because that's where all the food is. You'll have breakfast, lunch, and dinner on the middle level. And the upper level is where the bar is, and that's where you'll be entering and leaving the ship. And then, of course, your panorama bar here. With your meals, you'll have full menu. You just basically pick. You'll have options off the menu, several options, and then vegetarian, food allergy options, etc. Just let us know if that applies. And for breakfast, if you like crepes or omelets or all that, they'll have a breakfast style buffet, but they'll also have order off the menu as well. And then you'll have some alcoholic beverages with your dinner, and then snacks throughout the day. And then of course you have your free Wi-Fi, all of that. So Amsterdam, the Venice of the North. That'll be a little bit of your city tour there, where your guide will take you on a more narrated tour of the area. And you can go out during free time, and they have these little boats that'll take you throughout the city. And you basically just pick whichever language applies, obviously English for us. And then you basically just select your language, and it takes you throughout the city, and it does a little narrative tour. So that's pretty neat. And from there, the boat's going to leave, and you'll head into Volendam and a fisherman community. You'll get a chance to go through the markets there. And markets are pretty neat. They have the little wooden tulips. They have the crepes, the waffles. They have the cheeses and other things like that, which you'll get a chance to try out plenty of Belgian waffles on this trip, as well as the chocolates and the cheeses, because you're actually going to go to a cheesery here. And you'll learn all about the Gouda cheese. And they have extra sharp Gouda, by the way, so you don't have to worry about refrigerating it. You just basically just take it and just peel off what you want to eat and just put it on crackers. So a lot of folks will keep them as snacks throughout the trip. So you'll learn all about that also. So we'll take you out and show you some historic sites. So the John Frost Bridge featured in The Longest Day. So you'll learn all about that documentary as well, and the war book, etc. So it's pretty neat. A lot of history all along this trip. The way you're going to be traveling through. And a couple of different museums you're going to stop in as well. You'll learn about the windmills, and windmills are basically pumping stations, because a lot of these areas are below sea level, and they actually go through different levels, and they'll explain that when you get a little bit later into the trip. So from there, we'll travel into Middelburg, and you'll start to see a little bit more of that Central Europe touch to it. That particular area, we stop right into the center square here. Your guide, when you take your city tour, they'll say, look for the flag flying at the top of Town Hall. And that's how you'll pretty much everywhere you walk in the city, you'll be able to see that. And then that you'll gather back there before you head back to the ship, and then go to the next area. So there is an optional tour in Veer to do the Delta Works project. This is a paid option. A lot of folks like to just kind of explore Veer on their own. But the Delta Works project, basically a massive flood took place here, killed a lot of people. And so the Delta Works project was a massive scientific undertaking, trying to figure out how to keep a massive flood like that from ever happening again. And so you'll get a chance to do a private tour and see that. The turbines, you'll see all of that stuff to basically keep that from happening. And from there, I'll take you into beautiful little walking city. Kind of reminds you a little bit of the canals in Venice as well. But you will get a chance to do a walking tour, as well as get a chance to do a lace demonstration. They show you that. And for those of you that like to buy lace, you'll certainly have an opportunity to buy some after you take your tour here. From there, we're going to travel into Bruges and medieval city. And you'll spend that morning there. And you'll have a private walking tour in Bruges, and from there, we'll take you into Antwerp, and you'll take a tour of the Grand Palace and the Bravo Fountain there. And basically, the fountain, it's got a gentleman there, and he's throwing the hand of a severed hand of a giant. So you'll get a chance to learn all about that. From there, we're taking you to Kinderdijk. This is where I was kind of alluding to earlier with the purpose of windmills. They're massive pumping stations. It's this area sits below sea level, and so there are different levels that it pumps water from one area to the next. Some of them date back to, one of them dates back to the 1600s. The other ones are a lot newer than that, but you will get a chance to see the keep. You'll get a chance to take a tour of it and to see it, how beautiful they are. Solid wood, and they have these sails that they bring out to help collect wind on certain days, etc. And but again, you'll learn all about that and how it basically pulls water and floods fields, and it basically irrigates that particular area. And again, just talking about the windmills there. And then from there, we're going to head out into the Tulip Fields. You'll see them as you're flying in. They'll go for miles and miles and miles. And they basically, the farmers of that area will start growing them. They'll start blooming late March, and they'll go through mid-May to late May, depending on the weather. So, and then they harvest and send everywhere. But you will get a chance to see the tulip fields there, as well as we will take you into Keukenhof Garden. Next year is a big year for this. We have Floriade happening. It only happens every 10 years, and you're going to be over there for that. And so it's a very interesting time to be in this particular area. You'll learn all about the different varieties of bulbs. You'll have a person, if you want, follow you around and serve you Jägermeister as you look at the different bulbs, and you just point out which ones you want. And I have a lot of folks, when they come back from this trip, they get bulbs at their house. They have no idea how so many of them got there, but we both know, or we all know why. But you will take a private tour of the gardens. There's some of it is indoors, and most of it is outdoor. And but you'll get a chance to go in and see this beautiful, beautiful layout. And for any horticulturalists, master gardeners, etc., this is a great opportunity for you, because they have RHF, Royal Horticultural Society folks on staff there during that time frame, and they're basically just giving you advice, etc. And you can, I mean, I've had folks even ship them soil samples and different things, and they tell them, you know, what they need to do to make sure that they don't kill whatever they plant and this, that, and the other. But if you are into flowers, that is going to be a very big highlight for you. And then we are going to do a Dutch folklore dance send-off and dinner, so it'll be a very nice send-off for you. And excellent tour, though. Like I said, from start to finish, it's a very unique time, because you got your Floriade happening next year in 2022. So with our tours, we do a couple of different things. So we can pick people up locally together as a group and take them to the airport. And those that don't live locally, if you live within 50 miles to 100 miles of one of our 90 major gateways, we could actually pick you up at your house and take you to the airport and bring you back as an added service. And most cases, it won't cost any extra. to do that. And but just let us know if that applies to you. And but we do offer a pickup that we pick up at a designated location locally in Birmingham, then take you to the airport as a group and bring you back. And then for those that live elsewhere, if you live in Atlanta or other places, if you live within a certain mileage, we'll pick you up for free at your house and take you to the airport, same fashion. So we can personalize your adventure on any of these tours if you'd like elite airfare, or if you'd like to stay a couple of days later or add a couple of days or do a back-to-back tour. Say you're in Portugal and you want to extend on and do Spain, or you want to do Iceland or Morocco or wherever at the end of the trip. Just let us know what your ambitions are, and we can try to work with you on that. Our cancellation insurance is unique to the travel industry because it allows you the opportunity to cancel until the day prior to departure and get your money back. So no questions asked policy. You can say, I don't want to go the day before, and get all of your money back. The only thing that you wouldn't get back would be the cost of the insurance. And for each one of the trips is a different amount. It's based on the number of days of the trip. It's not based on the individual's age. And there's no pre-existing conditions or any of that stuff to worry about. It's just based on the length of tour. And but it covers every aspect of the tour. So medical interruption, lost luggage, medical evacuation, etc. If you had to be quarantined at the end of the trip, then it covers that also. But Collette has been very, very good with this whole process. We gave back $130 million last year to those that just simply didn't want to travel. And traveling through this year, and I know it's going to change for next year, but traveling through this year in 21, if people don't feel comfortable traveling up until 100 days prior to departure, we're still giving them all of their money back, including their insurance. And of course, if Collette cancels a trip, we give you all of your money back, including the insurance. So we really take that extra step for you as far as comfortability goes traveling. But we did get some very good news this past week, actually 2 weeks ago now. The UK put a hard date on their opening, May 17th, with no restrictions, no masks, no nothing. As I mentioned earlier, Costa Rica is already open, and so is Iceland. And at the summit next month, the EU is expected to announce their opening guidelines and dates, etc. And they told us basically it's going to be between mid-May and mid-June is going to be their time frame for opening back up. And other countries that are not part of the EU will follow the same guidelines. But the world is starting to open back up and get ready for travelers again. And they're supposed to come out with some sort of a digital format for those that have vaccines, etc. So you don't have to worry about keeping up with a vaccine card. And it'll all be done at check-in at the airport. We don't know what the exact measures are going to be yet for that, or the plan is yet, but they're supposed to announce that after the summit next month. So we'll have more details coming soon as far as that goes. The loyalty discount is for those that have traveled with us within 12 months. You'll get $150 off your next tour if you travel within 12 months. If you travel within 2 years of your previous tour, you will get $100 off, and that's on top of any other offer. And I know this question is going to be asked. We did not treat 2020 as if it happened. So if you traveled in 2019, if you traveled in 2019, we're giving you the 150. And so we're basically omitting 2020 as a year of travel. So you do need passports when you travel internationally. You don't need visas on these trips that we just talked about today. And then each one of these bookings, on the booking registration form, there is a registration number, a booking number, and basically you just go on our group webpage that we created, and you just go to gateway.com. It's already set up for you, and then you just type in the booking number, and then you can sign up there. The reason a lot of companies are going to this digital format is if you're like me and you have terrible handwriting, and we can't read the handwriting on the forms, airline change fees, etc. So everybody's just going to a digital format to make it easier. It makes it easier on us, easier on the airlines, easier on everybody. So that's why that is. but it's a very easy process. You can actually save it to your favorites if you're planning on traveling a lot in the future. And that is the presentation. And I'll turn it back over to Greg.
Jack, thanks so much. And that's a lot of information over just a short amount of time. All of those booking numbers are on our website. If you go to alumni.uab.edu/trips, the 3 Collette trips that we have planned, the ones that Jack just discussed, are at the bottom of the page. We have a couple other ones up on the top. And you also see the dates in the chat. I tossed those in there. For Portugal, it's October 19th through 29th, 2021. Costa Rica, December 4th through 12th, 2021. And then Holland and Belgium, April 21st to 29th, 2022. So some great trips, some great information coming up. And Jack, we do have some questions. Let me go ahead and flip over to my other screen here and take a look at some of these. We had 2 people ask a little bit about the blue zone. Can you elaborate a little bit, just a little bit more about the blue zones and exactly what that is?
So there are blue zones all over the world. There's one in Greece. I know the one in Costa Rica. There's several of them in the world. There's like 5 or 7 of them, but it's kind of an anomaly. This is an area that have perfect conditions, and people that have even been diagnosed with terminal illness get to go and live in these areas, and they live long lives, and nobody can explain it. Nobody knows why, but if you go and Google blue zone, there are endless articles on them, but there's only a handful of them in the world, and the Upper Nicoya Peninsula is a blue zone. And so some folks, they want to know where the nearest blue zone is, and they don't realize that they've already been there when they've been to Costa Rica. So they're actually, ironically, they're trying to make Pensacola a blue zone. I don't know how they're going to make that happen, but a lot of the doctors in that area got together, and they said it's going to take 10 years supposedly to do it. There's an initiative to do it. So good luck. I don't know how they're going to do it in Pensacola, but yeah, there are, I think, 7 of them in the world.
Okay. So when it comes to the tour, how many people are usually on each tour?
The motor coach holds 49. We never occupy that many. Generally 38 or so is what we operate. Right now we're operating at around 32 to help with a little bit of social distancing, etc. right now. In the immediate future, so we're starting our domestic tours in April. And so if you have a group of 30 traveling in April with us, we'll actually split the group on the 2 motor coaches and have 2 guides doing the trip that way until, we get more of that herd immunity. Then all that stuff will start laxing a little bit.
For everybody that has joined us, if you have questions, toss them in the chat. I'll ask Jack. We do have a few more minutes. I did address one question in the chat a little bit earlier. Somebody was asking if they can bring non-alumni with them on the trip. Yeah, you can. This is your trip. We want you as alumni to have a nice experience. So you're definitely able to bring people with you. Jack, does Collette have their own river boats?
We don't own the river cruises. Lufner, that we partner with, they are a family-owned, debt-free company in the river cruise industry. I think they're the only one. They actually, if you're familiar with AMA Waterways, Amadeus is paying homage to AMA. So AMA Waterways, those 2 were a part of the same business, and they broke apart. But Lufner is a debt-free, family-owned company, whereas some other companies are in the billions of dollars in debt. This is a debt-free company. And so the reason we are a debt-free company is we don't own we don't have the overhead. We don't have the stuff that owning ships like that can bring to the table. But by also offering tours every year, we can guarantee you're on the newest and the nicest ships on the rivers. And also Lufner is one of the few companies that makes it mandatory for all their captains to be tenured. So they're the safest cruise line that you can travel with.
So regarding Portugal, what does the pre-trip include? And there's a couple other questions in here, so I'll leave it at that. Regarding Portugal, what does the pre-trip include? And then I'll get to the other questions on that.
The are you referring to Madeira?
The Portugal trip that we have scheduled up. So the sunny Portugal is October.
You're talking about the post trip.
Okay, they wrote pre-trip, so yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, yeah. So the Madeira Islands. So you're going to have breakfast every day on that trip. You'll have your sightseeing. Everything that you need to see will be included. So we take you out there. There are several different liqueur places that we take you to. A couple of places that produce tea and pineapples, etc. So you'll do that, and then you'll learn about the history of that area. As part of their culture, they actually run a transit from Lisbon to the islands, and it's a form of public transportation. So they run those flights whether there's 30 people on the plane or 0 people on the plane. They have to run those routes daily from those islands as a service to people. And you'll learn you'll learn all about that when you go, but it's a little more laid back and not as structured as the other part of the tour. But the reason why is because there's other things people like to do when they get to that part of the trip: the whale watching, they people dive, they snorkel, they go fishing, they other things that will be incorporated in that as well.
So how much time is typically spent on the bus each day in Portugal for that trip?
So, well, the bus drivers can't drive more than 8 hours a day. So, we don't spend. We keep you on the bus about 2 hours max at a time. You'll never be on the bus more than 2 hours. So we try to stay within that range, unless it's an area that is impossible to maneuver to. In that case, we will have conveyed that to you either at a presentation like this, or when you get on the trip, your guide will say, okay, now day 4, you're going to be on the bus for 4 hours. We're going to break it up. We're going to stop an hour and a half in. We're going to take a break. We're going to take you to a dairy farm. We're going to do this, but you're not going to be on the coach the straight way through. So it'll be broken up, but that'll be conveyed to you beforehand. But generally, the rule is about 2 hours, no more than 3 a day traveling, because I mean, you're on a tour bus. You're on a tour to tour, not right on a bus.
Makes total sense. So can you choose to spend the day on your own rather than take part in the organized tour?
You can. If we're staying in an area and we're coming back to that area, yes, you can.
Okay. This person has somebody that might be interested that would have to rent a wheelchair for long distance walking. Is that a possibility?
In Europe, they're not as wheelchair friendly as they are in the U.S., but knowing that information this far out, we have a special needs form that we would have them fill out, and basically we would send that over to all of our vendors and just to prepare for that and make sure that we can accommodate them before they invest any financial monies or whatever. In a lot of cases, we can help out with that, but in some cases, like in Italy and Switzerland and other places like that, it's just very difficult.
So there's a 3-night optional Porto tour extension with sunny Portugal.
Oh, well.
Can you elaborate on that?
That's brand new then. Yeah, that wasn't offered before.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's good. All right. So I don't have an answer for that one. I haven't seen that one yet, but it's brand new. But if it's brand new, then they're offering it for a reason. So it's got to be good.
Got it. But everything that's online, somebody brought it up on from our website. Everything that's on our website is on their website as well. So if you click the link, and this was one of the attendees, if you click the link for sunny Portugal, you can go ahead and check more information on that. And you just click here to take a look at included features, and you should be able to get more information on that. If you can't, email me, email us, and we'll get back to you. So more about the October trip. What's the cutoff for the number of spots for Portugal?
So we're typically cutting it off at 5 months, but we are making an exception right now and doing it closer to 4 months with everything still trying to open up. So we're a lot more lenient on that at this go round. Next year it's supposed to be back to normal, but this year still, we're being very accommodating and observant with this whole thing. So I mean, it's one of those things where you're even pushing in the final payment into 30 days, whereas normally it's 60 days. So we're allowing folks more time to see what's going to happen. And then we're making the call on the trips at 45 days. So,
okay. So what if you have bad knees? What is the flat walking distance requirement?
On Portugal, I'll have to get you the log for that. But most of the areas that we're going to take you to, we're going to drive up and we're going to get out, walk around that area, get back on the coach, and then leave. If there is a portion of that is too strenuous for that particular person on that particular day, they can stay close to the bus. They can stay on the bus, or I mean, it is also a European law that the motor coach driver has to stay on the coach with it locked at all times when you're not touring. So if you want to stay on the coach, you can stay on the coach, or you can stay out near the coach. And you will get the information that you need from your guide, and then your guide will turn you loose. And then what ends up happening is a lot of the walking is self-inflicted, because you'll tour the area that you need to tour, but then we turn you loose, and you generally just walk in one direction, and then you got to turn back and you got to walk back. That's the only. But generally, we step off, we get off the coach, we do a panoramic tour of the area, and then we turn you loose, and then you can go from there. So it's not overly exerting.
So are there steep stairs on the bus? Does the bus have accommodations for people that have hard time getting up?
So the bus actually lowers down to the ground. It tilts down on the ground on one side, and then so it's not terrible. So there's 2 access points on the coach, and there's lavatories as well.
So when somebody is at a location and they're on their free time doing some sightseeing, how easy is it for them to communicate with locals, or is it difficult? Do they have to be prepared any which way?
From my experience, especially in Portugal, and I mean, most of the places that I've ever gone on any of our tours, the people in the service industry, especially in Europe, English is part of their core curriculum. And because we make up a lot of tourism all over the world. And so they understand English. They even have English menus. I try not to order from them because they like to use the word combo, because they think that's where our mind goes, because that's what we do here in the United States. And so I'm not going to lie. I mean, like, if you look at some of these restaurants that are known for their beef, or they're known for their scampi or whatever, and you'll see the American menu and it says combo, and it'll be pizza, French fries, and a Coke. And I'm like, I don't want this crap. I was like, I can get this in the United States. I want this other stuff. But so basically just ask the people at the restaurant what they're known for, what the locals like to eat. And, I always tell people, I was like, go travel with an open mind, try new things. I mean, you like beef, or you like chicken, or you like fish, or whatever. Try what they are known for. And you won't be. I mean, they're still in business after all this time. I mean, it has to be good.
It's kind of like that old saying, "When in Rome."
Yep.
So, Jack, thank you so much for the insight of these 3 trips. Looking forward to getting on these, and hopefully a lot of alumni will come along and be part of these trips. So, as we close, I do want to ask a question to our attendees. What region are you most interested in traveling to as a part of our alumni adventures? We're going to have a whole slew of them. You can only pick one. We got this poll launched. So is it North America, which would include the US, Canada, and Mexico, Central America, including places like Belize, the Caribbean, Panama, South America, including Brazil, Peru, Chile, and Argentina, the UK, which includes Ireland, Scotland, and England, Eastern Europe, places like Poland, Czech Republic, Slovakia, Croatia, Western Europe, including Italy, Greece, Portugal, and Switzerland, Scandinavia, including Finland, Norway, and Sweden, Africa, places like Madagascar, South Africa, Morocco, Asia, including countries like Russia, India, Israel, and Indonesia, or the Pacific Islands, which would be Australia or New Zealand. We have a lot of votes coming in here to take a look, and we're going to keep that poll up here until we're just about done, so we can get more of your responses in there. It's a lot of options, I know. Pick the region that you have the most interest in. We'll keep the poll up so you can cast your vote. If there's a place you're really interested in going, we'd love to know. Toss it in the chat. That's fine too. If you missed something, don't worry. We're going to have a recording of tonight's presentation on our website tomorrow. So let's go ahead and start winding this down. Many of us are searching for ways to get out of the house. How about taking part in our 15th annual scholarship run presented by Viva Health? I'm going to get there in a moment. Let me go ahead and toss these poll results at you first. Claire, if you want to slide that slide in, that's fine. The United Kingdom, Jack, 25% of our attendees picked the United Kingdom. 20% Africa, 15% Western Europe, Scandinavia, and as well as Pacific Islands. So there's a lot of interest in various regions across the globe that we're looking forward to possibly visiting with future alumni adventures with Collette. So let's go ahead, Claire, and put that slide up. As I said, we're just aching to get out of the house. How about taking part in the 15th annual scholarship run presented by Viva Health? This year's run is going to be virtual and held April 23rd through the 26th. Registration is only $35, and it does help support student scholarships. I'd also like to let you know that we're going to have a photo contest with gift cards being given away to Full Moon for the best photo with furry friend, best family photo, best shoes, best UAB swag outfit, best city run, and best nature run. So if you want to join up as a team, you can also do that. You can find out more about the run and register at alumni.uab.edu/run. Don't miss out on upcoming webinars. On April 1st, we'll be taking a look at how to best utilize trusts in estate planning as part of to trust or not to trust. On April 6th, we're going to be going back in time as we learn more about the history of UAB, Birmingham, and Alabama during UAB's oral history collection. On April 22nd, dig deep into geroscience as we find out how it studies the biology of aging as part of what's the latest science say about living longer, healthier lives. And of course, don't miss this year's virtual scholarship run, as I mentioned, presented by Viva Health. Register for any of these events or others at alumni.uab.edu/events. Take a listen to stories from our Conversations with Alumni. New episodes of the UAB Green and Told podcast are released every other week. This week's episode is with Adam Hickman, a beekeeper and Collette School of Business alum. Fascinating story with him. Our podcast can be found many places, including Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Let us know what you think. Leave a written review. It'll help other alumni find us better. You can also listen back to previous episodes at alumni.uab.edu/green and told. I would also like to encourage you to stay on top of all things alumni through social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just look us up at UAB Alumni. It's easy. On LinkedIn, search UAB Alumni Career Community. Need to get in touch with us? Go email us at alumni.uab.edu. So once again, I would like to thank Jack Brinson for joining us tonight, for all of you for joining us. Thank you for being a part of the evening. And as always, go Blazers.